Hello everyone and welcome to the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. Nations Cup racing for you today, coming from the EMEA region. This is the 2019-20 Exhibition Series. It's Season 1, round number 10. Myself, Chris McCarthy, and Jimmy Broadbent here to call you through the action.
I've got to say, the EMEA region is probably one of my favourite ones to commentate on, so yeah, looking forward to this one.
This is going to be a good one, that's for sure. Before we go any further, let's take a look at the points as they currently stand after 9 rounds, and there they are on screen for you. The Swedish driver, PR1 Fire, currently leading the way. Williams Gio, Giorgio Mangano in second place. Gisette third, Calster fourth. Manu Rodri there in fifth.
Also very familiar names in there, of course, and quite close at the top. We still have a round to go, of course, so points can change, but needs to be a good result for you to do that now.
Yep, and let's have a look at where they will be trying to get a good result for round number 10. Let's talk you through the track we're going to be racing on for this 10th round of action. Well, here it is on screen for you now. It's the Kyoto Driving Park. Very tricky circuit, but a circuit that can open up opportunities for lots of overtaking, as you can see. Lots of hairpin and a very long circuit as well. We're using the longest version available of the Kyoto Driving Park.
It's definitely a track that rewards smooth drivers, especially through the fast sections as well. You do not want to be scrubbing off speed through there. Of course, a good right foot out of the hairpin is always going to be helpful to you. Tyre wear around here is a big deal, so make sure you're being careful with it, otherwise you'll be a little bit up the creek when it comes into the race.
Yeah, it's going to be a big factor, that's for sure. And penalties could come into play as well, as they always do in GT Sport racing. Penalty lines, 2 of them on this circuit, 1 out of T12, 1 out of the final corner as well. Well, I'm sure you're eager to find out what they're going to be racing in and how long they're going to be racing for. Let's have a look at that on screen now. So Group 1 cars, so it's going to be a very interesting one. Of course, longer races were what people were demanding, and that's what we've given. 15 laps of racing, 8 times tyre wear.
Yep, so as we said before, tyre wear is going to be something that our drivers have to keep their eye on. And of course, speaking of tyre wear, we have our strategy at the moment, what we think the drivers are going to do, at least. 5 laps, I think the racing medium tyre will last. 7 laps on the racing hard tyre with a 1.3 second a lap difference roughly between the two. So we expect probably to see a 2-stop, but if you can do the 1-stop, of course, you're going to save on not pitting. So yeah, that's up to our drivers to figure out.
I'm sure they already got their strategy in mind. Well, that's all the info you need. Let's get down to the grid and talk you through the race itself. Well, here we go then. We can see Williams Gio. They're already warming up the tyres, getting ready to go. Williams Gio and Gisette are going to be first and second. RK23 starting from third. Manu Rodri, the all-familiar, in 4th place. As we get off away and racing, we've got a good spread of medium and hard tyres in this one as well. But the top 4 all choosing to start on the medium tyres. As we go through turn number 1 for the first time, we are looking at Gisette in 2nd place, trying to hang on to Williams Gio as well as trying to hold off RK23, who is behind as they make their way up the hill for the first time. Devil Soul is 5th, Dilster 6th, Zavizic is in 7th, Key 25 is 8th, then it's Fonseca and Felix, the top 10, as they come through the long left-hander now for the first time and drop downhill into the hairpin.
A massive grid here today. Thankfully, everyone's got through the first sector in one piece. You'll probably see as well that the Dodge, SRT Dodge Tomahawk is the car of choice around here. There is a lone Audi R18 I can see in the top 12 anyway, so we'll see how he progresses, or if he does progress or not. But otherwise, the Tomahawk seems to be the car to be. There it is. There is the R18 up to 6th place already. Dilster at the wheel of that. Of course, this car has hybrid, so very quick at the start of the race and off corners, but a little bit slower through the fast corners. So that's where there'll be a difference between this and the cars in front.
Well, let's go on board and have a look at the differences. We're coming down to the hairpin now, Jimmy, and then we're going to have a couple of fast corners to watch it through. So we'll get a good idea of the difference here.
It's under braking there, regenerating the hybrid. We should get a bit of a punch out here compared to the car in front. There you go, just kind of waiting there right on the back of the Tomahawk, and now here comes the hybrid. You see, it comes on so quick, you almost run into the back of the fella in front. Up the inside goes Dilster, but we know the Tomahawk is good through the corners, so he's hanging on there on the outside, not quite able to keep it for there. Bit of a squirt of the hybrid down the hill, and Dilster up to 5th.
Yeah, Dilster using that hybrid very well at the moment. Has now got himself up to 5th place, the British driver. Up ahead, Manu Rodri getting himself on the grass there, just running a little bit wide. That might have been RK23, in fact, because RK23 now under all sorts of pressure. Manu Rodri almost making, might have even been a little bit of contact as they both got on the power out of the final corner. Nothing intentional, and Manu Rodri now goes down the outside, should go into 3rd, and does. RK23 not looking to fight that too hard. There is another R18 of Stefanzi in 12th place, so we'll see how he progresses. We've got Key 25, of course, everyone knows him from his YouTube channel. He is in 6th place, the highest of the hard running tyres at the moment, so doing a good job there to move up the order into 6th, and now we have a look at Key 25 under a lot of pressure here though from the 2 VLX drivers of Felix and Atomix.
Can't say ever I thought I'd see that livery associated with a Dodge, but hey, you know, it's not a bad looking livery in that car, to be fair. I'd say that at this point, I think Key or Kai, however you pronounce his name, needs to get off the hard tyre quickly. Get off that, get onto the mediums, and then maybe do a 2-stop from there. We've seen in other races the hard tyre. It might be good for the start of the race and good to hold people up initially, but it really is a tyre you want to get off as quick as you can. Although tyre weight is set quite high here, of course, so it can be quite tricky to get it working the entire way round.
Now, I'm not too sure what happened to Sir Fonseca, the Portuguese driver, but he was running a lot higher than running near the top 10, now down in 20th sadly, so clearly there were some problems there as Key once again under a lot of pressure here from Felix. Felix looking to the outside, and we've got Antomix in 8th place. Berlin is getting closer as well, the Belgian driver, as well as Quintin. They are just all starting to queue up now behind as we come into the left-hander here. And we can see a gap now, 2.3 seconds, and that is the difference around here in the medium to the hard tyre.
Well, this is the thing now, if you're one of the guys behind Key, you're probably thinking, come on, get out of the way, mate, I need to go and use this medium compound at a time. And for Key, of course, it's perfect, he's holding people up behind them, but for those behind, it's really hurting the strategy. You're seeing now to see the train of cars behind this Dodge Tomahawk as we come down the straight, coming on to the 3rd lap, and you see that it's not close enough in the toe to do anything into T1. But watch as we go into T1, this gap will come down significantly as the medium tyres a lot more grip through there. You see now Felix just pulling in there, almost like Key's got a different class of car. Saying that on exit, too slow, was he?
Looking good actually. How hard is it to focus on your own strategy if you're running a harder tyre? You've got the medium tyre runners behind. It must be very hard just to focus on your own race, because really your strategy is working perfectly if they can't get past you.
You always end up second guessing yourself though, and saying that in the background, Felix going very wide, then goes Antomix on the way through. They're going to run side by side coming down to the hairpin now, and it looks like that Felix just has the right line, so he'll stay ahead for now. Berlin looking on the inside now of Antomix, but not quite making it work. But as I was saying, Chris, yeah, you just kind of end up thinking, am I on the right strategy? Everyone else is doing something different from me. Maybe I should be doing that instead. But the key is to commit to the strategy, even if you're second guessing. You have to make sure you commit to one, because if you start changing it midway through, it's automatically going to be a weaker strategy. It has to be solid otherwise.
Well, we'll keep an eye on how that progresses. We have had a couple of drivers come in already. Devil Soul was one of them, was running inside of the top 10, now down in 12th. And also Zavisic as well has come in, now down in 20th place as a result. So 2 people already into the pits. We'll expect more over the next few laps to make their way in. Out front, Williams Gio is leading the way by 2.3 seconds ahead of Manu Rodri, RK23, Dilster, Key. So the top 6 all fairly spread out. It's behind where it's all going off, just behind 6th place. So Key just up the road from this, but Felix and Antomix battling away behind. Bellin also getting involved as well. So this is now a bit of a queue for 7th place. There's also a good battle going on in the background between Zimmy and Devil Soul. I think Devil Soul about to make a move, and already has gone up to 11th place as the French driver. So starting to make some moves now, having come through the pit. And now we have Stefanzi getting rid of Stefanzi on the R18, of course, goes on to another set of mediums, and Garrick's getting off the hard tyre going to mediums.
We're just watching RK23 right now, the Dutch driver, and just behind him, of course, is our first of the non-Tomahawk runners. Still doing pretty well up there in 5th position. Again, you was quite feisty at the start and made up quite a few places. So a good race so far from the Audi R18 driver. We'll have to see if the car progresses well. I've seen over the course of the race this car tends to suffer from a little bit of tyre wear. When the hybrid comes on out of corners, the front axle starts to be used as a momentum, a driving force, and it can quite easily burn the front tyres if you're being a little bit too aggressive with the hybrid. So Dilstra, of course, he's running pretty well here, so he knows what he's doing, but it can definitely come back to bite you if you get a little bit too enthusiastic.
Dilstra's actually quickest through, was quickest through the 4th sector, which is a sector that's less than 10 seconds, so mostly a straight is that one. So you can just see the difference in the power. But Dilstra, in terms of lap times, around a second slower, it seems, than our leaders. Williams-Gio did a fantastic job out front, but still doing a great job there in the R18 and showing it very well so far. Good to see a mixture of cars out there in our Group 1 category. But we're at lap number 4 of 15 now, so we should see more coming in over the next lap or so.
Yes, of course, Giorgio Mangano, who's leading the race. Williams-Gio, known from the live events. And the live events, we started off very strong. He actually won the first event that we ever commentated on.
Very first event at Nürburgring.
Back in 2018. I think that feels like a very long time ago now, I can tell you that. Especially given how this entire thing has grown quite substantially since then, I think it's fair to say. And of course, Giorgio Mangano has been at pretty much every event since then. So again, showing off his talent here and why he's always selected to come to these events. 2.8 seconds now he's got on Giuseppe and Manny Rodri. Of course, Thierry Manny Rodri there in third, another event regular. So yeah, very, very strong field here, and very impressive by Giorgio Mangano to be still gapping the rest of them.
I mean, you've been to every event. It must be surprising, but in a good way, to see some drivers manage to qualify for every single event. I know Mick Hazal's another one, TRL Lightning. Oh, they're always there every single time.
It's just consistency. There's a lot to be said for that, of course. I think it's like some of the drivers just not quite being able to, go that extra step and take the win at the events. But we had a fantastic stat about a driver who isn't here right now, Coque Lopez, that he's been in every final. And I think he's never been in the repertoire, anything like that, or when he has been, he's always got through. He's been at every final in every event, which is amazing. He's just never won it. So there's consistency there, of course, but what do they say? History always remembers the victor. So
there we go.
Sorry, Coque.
Well, don't forget, of course, November 22nd to the 24th, World Finals at Monaco. Of course, it's going to be a live event. We're going to crown our champions in Nations Cup and manufacturers, and I'm sure Coque Lopez will be one to watch there for sure. But who is going to take the crown off Igor Fraga, if anyone? Well, Giuseppe, we're looking at there, the PR1 driver, just trying to chase down Williams-Gio. This is ERT Bellin, who is behind Felix at the moment. We've still got Key 25 ahead on those hard tyres, managing to keep a gap to these guys behind. We have had more people come into the pits. Antomix came in, as well as did Dan Bach down the back of the field, the Austrian. So more coming in. We're now oh well, that's Key 25 off, spinning off out of the final corner into the wall, and that is a real shame because was putting in a good stint on the hard tyres.
Oh, and the race quit there as well. I think he's
out of the race. Let's have a look.
Something specific. Here it is. Do we have it?
No. It's,
I think because he's decided to remove himself from the race after that, where
he's gone.
That's a real shame, because he was doing pretty well up there in 6th, but it just takes one mistake, especially at this level, and that's your race pretty much over. And these cars, well, they're not forgiving. They have lots of grip until they don't.
Yeah. Well, isn't it? If you get that's a corner, that hairpin, you just get the power on too much, send you out.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what happened there. We think anyway. To Key. So we're down to 19 runners now in this race with 9 laps to go, not even at the halfway point there. It's nice to have a longer race here because it gives you time as a commentator to sit down and actually chat about some of the races, some of the goings on, of course, and what we expect to see in a bit more detail rather than the sprint format where it's just me shouting at a monitor. Well, that's not much different to what I do in my spare time anyway, but yeah, it's good to sit down and get to actually kind of study the cars a bit.
Now, these guys, a lot of these guys, if they haven't been to the live event, that's something everyone that competes at this level wants to go to. You've been to them all. Obviously, I've been to quite a few myself. just tell us about how it's progressed over the years and the experience of the event, because it's not just racing at the event, is it? It's an experience of a lifetime almost for the guys.
Yeah, 100%. And it's definitely something that I'd say if you have the chance to go to, then go to, because you won't forget it. And we'll get back to that in a second though, because Devil Soul is starting to mount a bit of a charge here on the 10th place driver. That's Jim Bree there, apparently on Twitch, according to him. And oh, hello, Williams Gio's pitted in from the lead. So Giorgio Mangano comes in. He's gone into a set of the hard compounder tyres. To me, that says he's going to try and go to the end.
Right. Well, Devil Soul's on 2 stops, so it was definitely worth us picking that one up. So he's coming back through the field. I think he's almost decided to get the stops out the way early, and now should be going to the end, surely. But that's a brave decision if so.
We might see Mangano maybe just do the the one lap hard tyre drop,
right,
and just go out, come back in again, get rid of the hard tyre, back out on the mediums, because both compounds need to be used here. So,
well, Dilster came in, as did RK23. They're both in and out, 1 stop apiece. There is RK23. Now, as you can see, a big gap to Manu Rodri, who will probably be in on this lap, but it's worth us looking at Williams Gio, definitely, because he's gone on that hard tyre. Now it's worth seeing whether he does that, comes straight back in, gets rid of this hard tyre, and then goes back onto the mediums. Of course, they do need to use both sets, so this is often a thing that if you can make the medium tyre last, then stay on the hard for the least amount of time as possible.
I think we're in an odd position here where on the fresh set of hard compound tyres, Mangano is pulling in Giuseppe, because those medium tyres at this point are quite worn down now, almost on the canvas, or the virtual canvas I should say, here in GT Sport. So I think that Williams Gio is just using that at the moment, just using that the freshness of the hard compound tyre, and just pushing a little bit just to make sure he can stay with. And of course, you can start getting in into the toe here, start getting a little bit of an advantage that way as well. So this may be a good call. I'm curious as to whether he'll peel into the pit lane coming out of this last hairpin. Just coming up now. Oh, look wide there on the curb. And the thing is, of these cars are so low, you get under the curb, you almost end up skating across them. It's not a nice feeling.
Let's have a look. Pit lane coming up on the left now, and no, stays out for one more. Okay. Well, Giuseppe did come in just ahead of him, the race leader, or what was the new race leader, and Giuseppe now comes back out. We'll see probably in about 3rd place. Yes. So in 3rd, new set of mediums, and we'll go a long way on those now, I'd say, before switching over once again. Felix has come in as well, VLX Felix. Quinton has gone off the hard tyre onto the medium tyre, so lots of pit stops going on now. Safon Seka hasn't come in yet in 9th, nor has Manu Rodri, who's just ahead of us actually in 2nd place. There is Manu Rodri now. So yet to come in, and well, the TRL driver will sure be looking at coming in very shortly now.
Yeah, thing is, at this point now, you're just driving around on worn tyres. Everyone around you is going to be quicker. You're kind of losing time, and this is where you have to have one eye on the standings and see when people are coming into the pit lane, and then make that choice yourself. I say it a few times that being a sim racer can be, in some aspects, a bit more difficult than driving in real life, mainly because you're your own pit engineer, you're your own strategist. You have to make sure you're keeping in line everything. You've got no data being fed to you in terms of through your ears. You have to go looking for all that yourself, and there you go. Bit of a dive there from Giuseppe, just making sure to get past Manu Rodri as quick as he possibly can. Does not want to be held up by the slower countryman at the moment, and so we'll see what he does now. So I think we'll probably see. I think it's Manu coming into the pit at the end of his lap. He kind of has to, I think.
Yeah, I think he's got no other choice but to do it. You can get caught out, can't you, by other people coming in earlier than what you may have expected them to, and maybe that's been the case for the Team Redline driver. So this is the penultimate corner now, as most of you will know. Final corner coming up, and surely we're going to see Manu Rodri peel off now and go into the pit lane. We've got RK23 behind. Well, Williams Gio's going he's going to get rid of those hard tyres. So what will Manu Rodri do? And go on to another set of medium tyres.
That's interesting then. There you go. We've got the hovercraft mod being applied to Manu Rodri, and then luckily he's turned that off for us. Yeah. But I think that I think Mangano is going to go for the fast finish, going to go for the 2-stop. So the downside to the 2-stop is that he now has to make the place back up on track again. We know how fast he is though, but But you always want trap position. I mean, being behind someone, it's all well and good thing, oh yeah, I can catch them easy, but then you might find that they put up a really strong defence and you can't get by.
Not only that, but Dilster's in the R18 as well, so that's going to make life even more difficult, I think, for Manu Rodri to get by there. Now, Devil Soul's coming back into play behind this as well. Having already stopped twice, we would expect the French driver is going to go to the end now. And Devil Soul should make up places as those ahead of him come into the pits. It's, of course, whether his tyres can last long enough to keep him quick enough at the end of the race. But let's watch Manu Rodri on board for a little bit as we've got the Audi R18 ahead.
I was saying, it's been a great drive from Dilster in that R18. It really isn't the car of choice around here. Obviously, as evident by the fact that everyone's in the Tomahawk, but making it work just about. Of course, you see still struggling a little bit in the higher speed corners, but that hybrid, the traction versus what you get from that, and then just the ability just to basically put 400 horsepower in the car behind you, just like with a button, is fantastic. And of course, I think it's what's keeping Dilster there for now. If anyone's capable of catching him and passing him, it's Manu Rodri, very aggressive at the events, and of course in these driving. In these races as well here, so I expect to see him try and make a move if he's able to get close enough, of course.
Yeah, now you can imagine already, Manu Rodri, we can clearly see, he'll know that Dilster's on the R18. You imagine at this point now he's just in his head visualising where he's going to overtake and how he's going to get that one done.
That's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realise when you're driving around. This applies both to real life and in the sim, is you're thinking half a lap ahead usually, or a lap ahead of it. Right, okay, when am I going to be close to this guy? When's the best chance for me to get alongside? Where is his car weak? Where is my car strong? And all the while you're doing that, of course, you have to hit every apex, make sure you're carrying all the speed you can. It really adds another layer to racing, especially, and again, this is something that we get with these longer races. We wouldn't really get this as much with the shorter races, because it's not where can I pass, it's I must pass.
Yeah.
So this becomes a desperate dive.
Yeah, I'd say in the shorter race, you've got no other choice but to just go for it. You don't really have much time to think about it, but in these longer races you have a chance to line up the move and then execute it cleanly first time. So we'll see how Manu Rodri gets on in doing that. He is definitely lapping quicker than Dilster at the moment. You can see the gap is at 1 second now.
That's the hybrid there, went from 8/10 to 1.2 seconds just up the hill. Like, bye.
I think it's that sector where Dilster's actually faster than anyone and has just gone purple once again.
I mean, like, it might not seem like a big gap. The thing is, Dilster is 2 tenths faster through there in a 7 seconds sector. So, that's crazy. That's a lot of time. Yeah. Trust me there. At the front of the field, Williams, I think he needs to hurry up. It's 1.6 seconds. He has been gaining on Gisette. For of course the overall lead, but just not quite getting close enough. Now I think maybe he's trying to make sure to get these medium tyres turned on as quick as he can. I think now they're up to speed. He's looking fairly confident through the chicane here, but Gisette doesn't seem to be struggling too much, although we did see what happened to Manu Rodri towards the end of the stint on his medium tyres. Maybe we'll see the same thing happen to Gisette here.
Yeah, well, let's have a look on board with the Williams driver, Giorgio Mangano, coming up to turn number 1 now. We can see Gisette ahead of us. Very fast corner this one. Pretty scary the first time you do it. And now we'll start to make our way uphill in the Tomahawk. Behind us, Devil Soul's come in again. So the 3 stop.
That ain't it, Chief. I don't think. That's not going to be... I mean, he stayed there in... I think he stayed in 7th place. We'll see when he comes across the start-finish line.
Yes, he has.
So he has done. So maybe just betting it to go, I know I've got time. Might as well see if I can get fastest lap or something. Because he's not going to gain another place, I don't think, unless he is really quick at the end. But on the fresh mediums, who knows?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, I guess. If you can be 1.5 seconds faster, then he's got enough time to get at least one more place there. So it's worth a go, I guess, as you said. And you never know, someone ahead might end up pitting again anyway.
So here we are, Giorgio Mangano trying to chase down Gisette. The gap is kind of stable, about 1.6, 1.7 seconds at the moment. Not really seeing where Mangano's going to gain this time. And you see through the long left-hander, it takes a bit of time out of Gisette just because of using the better tyre life through there. But otherwise, these guys seem quite equally matched. And it's great to see that the 1-stop and 2-stop both seem to be equally viable at the moment. Of course, with the top 2 guys on different strategies. We'll see if Gisette can hang on to those medium tyres though, because he's going to have been on them for a very long time when we get to the last few laps of the race, and they're going to be quite skatey.
Giuseppe was actually fastest through the second sector on this lap, so clearly he is not struggling on those tyres yet. Not at all. Doing a very good job at the moment. This is a strategy that has really worked for him. As for Williams Gio, he's probably starting to go into panic mode now, just a little bit.
You're wondering, hang on, I should be catching this guy now.
What is going on?
Why am I catching him? And you could argue at this point maybe that he should have stayed on the hard compounder tyre and just had the track position, because there would have been a similar pace, I think, between the two. But it's hard to say. So here is Mangano again. You see the relative comes down every time we go through a long corner, so that's when the grip in Mangano's car is a bit more present than it is in Giuseppe's car. Through this section as well, a long sweeping section. Now we're coming into a corner, a long left-hander, which just batters the right front tyres. If you've got warm tyres through here, this is where you really feel it through here. But you see there Giuseppe going very wide, touching the curb there, and actually having quite a good run off there. If anything, it's slightly better there than Mangano. So he's really really managing these warm tyres incredibly well.
So it's worth us having a quick look actually at Manu Rodri, because Manu Rodri has closed down Dilster. There he is, and this is a move that is about to be lined up. You'll see though, this is the sector where Dilster is faster than anyone. This is out of the left-hander as we now start to go uphill, and we should see Dilster pull away. So 6 tenths, 7 tenths. It's going to get up towards 8 tenths now, almost 7.5 it got up to. Williams Gio on this lap was quicker than anyone through that first sector when we rode on board with him. Gap is down to 1.3 now, but this is the closest fight within the top 10. It is for 4th place between Dilster and Manu Rodri.
This will be a little bit frustrating for Manu, because he'll get a better run coming out of the corner, and then the Audi just pulls away on that hybrid. But of course, I think what Manu has to do is try and get him going into a corner, force him wide and really slow him up on exit, and then just hope he can get to the next corner before the Audi gets there. And again, Manu will be thinking, where's the best place to do that? And I think maybe through one of the long sweeping corners, is trying to get alongside, get a run down the hill before the hybrid has a chance to kick in. And then I guess just try and sit on the racing line. But he has to get there first, and with driving like that, he needs to be a bit more composed as Manu Rodri. Otherwise he's going to end up losing more time. The gap in the front is still coming down, by the way. 1.3 seconds now. But it's not enough. Oh, Dilster in the pit lane there.
Dilster's in.
That's a very interesting. So I guess he still has the hard tyre to come.
Yeah,
we
has
missed
to
that
use
there.
the hard tyre.
What a shame. That could have been a good finale.
Well, that's a shame. But Dilster has to go onto the hard tyre, and that's not hurt him at all, actually. He comes back out in 5th. He's got Felix behind.
And a tyre advantage in terms of wear.
Yeah, but Devil Soul's done 3 stops, so his tyres aren't too worn, and he's only 1.5 seconds further back than this. There is the French driver, so a chance at a top 5 finish for Devil Soul, potentially, if Felix starts to get held up.
Here we are, Felix, I think, looking at the inside of Dilster, trying to anyway. Dilster just too quick through the past left-hander, and now have a little bit of insistence from the hybrid down the hill, perhaps. No, he doesn't use any. So now he just takes the middling line. They're not quite defending there. It's kind of a half-hearted defence, saying, yeah, you're not coming through here. Like, I don't want to bother. Don't bother.
Yeah.
And that's the message he's sending there to Felix behind. And now up the hill, this is where we know that Audi is strong. Now look at this gap. It just increases exponentially up there as the Audi hits the happy button, and off he goes.
Yeah, that is frustrating, isn't it, for Felix, because Devil Soul now gets closer behind, and we've got a good battle going on for 5th place here. This is going to be a good end to the race. Up ahead, 1.2 seconds. Williams Gio is only closing in at the rate of about 4 tenths a lap, and it just doesn't seem close enough at all, does it? Has he saved something in the tank, though? We have seen races where all of a sudden drivers are able to turn it on the last 2 laps, almost like they've just saved something in the tyres, and they know that they've got enough. Here we go. Felix now diving down the inside of Devil Soul. That's a good move.
I think it's Devil Soul coming back actually on Felix. I think Felix has dropped back a little bit, and Devil Soul on those fresh tyres, Chris, has actually overtaken him. There he goes, so up into 6th place, and now he's going to go after Dilster.
Yeah, so of course Devil Soul on the 3 stops, yeah. So past he goes. Okay.
With a pit stop as well. We have
RK23
into the pits, which that's going to mean how close is it going to be to Manu Rodri on the way out? I can see it up there. They're very close. 3rd and 4th place right now. There it is. So we've got a battle for the podium, and the gap for the lead is down to a second now. So we'll start getting the tow at the front, and just like that, these last few laps, it all comes alive. We have a battle for 1st and 2nd, and for 3rd and 4th. So this is anyone's game right now. Just keep it clean to the end. Of course, bear in mind that RK23 does have a fresh set of hard compound tyres to Manu Rodri's quite worn medium, so he should be able to put away by now, but, well, there could easily be a mistake.
Yeah, well, as you said, up and the leads, it is getting closer, but is it enough from Giorgio Mangano to close in on Gisette? This is what 1.1 seconds looks like on board, and he's within range, but he's just not quite close enough to really disturb Gisette out front. And then he's got to try and make a move, of course, and that's a difficult task sometimes in these cars.
Really driving it in there to the braking zone there. A lot of quite a late apex, trying to just carry as much speed in as possible, but it just seems that every move that Giorgio Mangano makes, Gisette in front just has enough to answer him with. There's no doubt that Gisette's a bit slower, but he's just quick enough to maintain that gap. So we now have just over a lap to go, and Giorgio Mangano needs to be a lot closer than this if he wants to make any sort of move. I'm interested. I think the one stop may be in the way to go here.
Yeah, and that will be frustrating Gio now as they come out of the final corner. Gisette ahead of us once again extends that gap to 1.2 seconds, and not good news for Williams Gio. It's settling down further back, so this is the fight that we will stay with, I'm sure. Dilster there, you can see in fifth, has gone onto those hard tyres. Devil Soul behind, trying to bring that gap down, and Dilster trying to break the toe here. 1.1 seconds is the gap, now 1 second, so Dilster in the R18 should have enough to hold on with that, but here we are with our leaders once again.
There we are then, last half a lap or so. Giorgio Mangano a little bit too far behind, I think, to make anything work, but if he has a good middle sector, he might get close. Gisette looks like he goes a little bit wide there, but takes a late apex. Good exit there, actually, from Gisette. I think this is how he stayed ahead. He's been taking lines that aren't quite as aggressive on the tyres through here, and just trying to keep them alive instead of going after ultimate pace, whereas Mangano, well, he's been pushing, but even with that, Gisette seems to have enough pace to stay ahead. We're coming in now to the last half a sector, and it's looking increasingly unlikely that Mangano is going to get anywhere Gisette for a move in the lead.
Well, I wonder, you can sort of question your own ability sometimes when you don't see the gap coming down as much as you expected, and I wonder if that had anything to do with why the gap has stayed as it is at 1 second. So Gisette has played his cards absolutely spot on here. He's done the one stop. Williams Gio did what he thought was correct with the two stop, but Gisette has done a fantastic job on the one stop to keep those tyres alive enough for this final lap.
There we are then, coming through the last chicane for the last time. Giorgio Mangano, he's close, but I don't think close enough to make anything work. Gisette there with a great strategy on the one stop, making the medium tyres last, driving them softly, and then it rewards him. Comes around the last corner now, and he'll come across the line to take the win here in round 10 at Kyoto Driving Park. A great race there from a Spanish driver. Giorgio Mangano will be ruining his strategy. Second place for him is still a good result, although of course not the top step of the podium. Last step goes to Rd.10, just about from Manu Rodri, making that hard tyre work at the end, and here comes the Spaniard to take home fourth. And thank you for the celebration into the wall there. And Dilster, I think, definitely best of the rest in the Audi R18. A great effort from him, considering that car really is not the car to be in.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Dilster. Devil Soul, 3-stop strategy, brave, but still got a good result out of it. I wonder what he could have done on a 1 or a 2-stop. Felix 7th, Zimri 8th, JM Bree was 9th, and it was Bellin in 10th. So Fonseca, good recovery from dead last at one stage to finish 11th. Quinton was 12th place. Zavicic was 13th, Stefanzi 14th, Garrix 15th, Danbach 16th, and then some sort of Wi-Fi password in 17th. Creaser is 18th. Well, there you go. Of course, we did lose a couple of drivers throughout the race, sadly, but some fantastic drives. Devil Soul fastest lap, no surprise, given he stopped 3 times. But Gisette takes the win. William Gio second, RK23. That was your top 3 in the end. A good race in terms of strategy. It was definitely, that was, I think, the most key part of that race.
I mean, it's just great to see that different strategies can work around here. Of course, here are the rest of them. I said there were a couple of people after us who didn't actually make the end, but that's your 9th to 16th. Yeah, there was another car in here.
There was a 919.
We didn't catch Garrett's. He was driving a 919 hybrid, so unfortunately for Garrett's, didn't quite make an impression enough to be to be watched at any point. But at least he gave it a go in the 919. And here are the people we lost. We lost VLX, Atomix, unfortunately, and of course Key 25 earlier on with his spin and a big old rage quit.
Yeah, well, sadly, those guys fell away, but certainly at the front, it was a fantastic drive from Gisette to take the win. Well, here are the standings after 10 rounds. PR1 Fire leads the way, Gio second, Gisette third. The big mover, though, is RK23, flying up the order up into fourth place. So a fantastic way to end the first 10 rounds of Season 1. Well, that is how the points finished up for you. Don't forget, we've got a live event coming up very, very shortly. We talked a little bit about it throughout the race. It is the big one. It's the World Finals at Monaco. That is going to be the completion of the 2019 World Tour. Who will be crowned our World Finals champions? Well, you'll find out on November the 22nd to the 24th. Jimmy Broadbent will be there for sure. We're looking forward to that one. But for myself, Chris McCarthy, and Jimmy, for now, it's goodbye.
So after an investigation into this week's races, it became apparent that some drivers were using a loophole with the tyres. So what was happening is drivers were starting with two compounds of tyres, hard on the front, for example, and medium on the rear, and that would then essentially fool the game into thinking that, both tyre compounds have been used. Because this is technically not against the rules, rather just a loophole in the regulations, the results will remain the same for this week, but will be changed so the loophole cannot be used in further events.